Bandsaws are a really useful tool. They make it so easy to cut away the thinnest slices whilst keeping everything straight and true. They cope with a variety of materials including wood, plastic and even metals with the right blade, but it's the controllability of the bandsaw which is probably its most versatile feature, allowing you to safely cut away quite complex shapes with relative ease. The problem is, this isn't a bandsaw, it's a jigsaw, but trust me, as a bargain bandsaw it really works. I was looking to buy a bandsaw but didn't fancy spending bandsaw money, and whilst leafing through a website I saw this jigsaw. Just £15 and over 300 reviews at 4.5 stars. That's throwaway money and a bargain I couldn't resist, so I bought one. Other than this, all I needed was screws, glue and wood, and that was stuff I had lying around. This bargain had a problem though. When I placed the blade into the jigsaw, I noticed the blade wasn't square with the base plate. Adjusting this was impossible thanks to these preset angle notches, so I decided to do a little adjustment with my angle grinder, ruining any warranty I may have had. But like I said, this is throwaway money. As I'd already taken the base plate from the jigsaw, I took the opportunity to drill some screw holes to suspend the whole unit. It was then just a case of attaching it to the underside of a flat surface. Small bandsaws seem to have tables that are around 12 inches square, and larger machines are roughly double this. I opted to cut a plywood table at 15 inches square. I found the centre and drilled a 10mm hole. I worked out where the leading edge of the blade would be and positioned the plate so that it was nice and parallel to the edges. Then I screwed everything on nice and securely. I couldn't mount the jigsaw back onto the plate from this position, so I needed to drill a couple of holes through the table, but this would allow access for fine adjustments later. Obviously some supports are necessary to raise the table, and this becomes a matter of personal choice. You could enclose your jigsaw inside a storage cupboard of whatever height you wish, but I opted to keep things simple and just screw on a couple of 9-inch high strips. I was then able to suspend the jigsaw from its plate and carefully adjust the position of the blade so that it was nice and square. Stabilising the blade helps to ensure nice straight cuts, and I began with a scrap of hardwood to form the suspension block, chiselling out a small channel into this. A smaller piece fits nicely into this channel, and this gets sliced in two. These smaller pieces actually touch the sides of the blade, so adjusting them is critical. Slots were cut into these using the drill press and cleaned up with a small file. Simple wood screws hold these snugly. An arm is needed to suspend the support, and I just screwed together a few blocks. This is clamped on a temporary basis to the table, making sure that it is nice and parallel. Notice that I've positioned the arm on the right. Even though I'm right-handed, I prefer this setup, but you may prefer to go with convention and place your arm on the left. I drilled an 8mm slot into the suspension block. I then removed the arm and drilled a slightly smaller hole into this. This allowed me to partially screw in a bolt. I cut away another shallow channel and then screwed in an 8mm headless bolt, roughly an inch deep. I took a small offcut to make a control knob. A bolt-sized hole was already drilled through its centre, and this let me mark off the size of the nut. this shape was partly drilled and partly chiselled out. I shaped the knob with sandpaper, then test fitted this with a couple of washers. I then used a sturdy bolt to fix the arm in place, and that pretty much completed the build. It was then just a matter of making sure the small pieces of hardwood gently kissed the sides of the blade. It's important that they don't restrict it in any way, and a little oil can be used to reduce any possible friction. I tried the saw using a scrap piece and a fence, and as you can see, the up and down motion of the blade caused the wood to bounce occasionally. So I lowered the suspension block until it lightly touched the surface of the wood, and then I blew away the debris. I also swapped out the blade for a Bosch. I tried again, and this time it was a much more controlled feeling without any bouncing at all. Look how thin the slice was that I was able to accurately cut away. That's what you call a real bargain budget bandsaw. But is it as good as a proper bandsaw? Well, obviously not, but that doesn't mean it's useless. Far from it. It has most of the benefits of a proper bandsaw, but at a fraction of the cost. It can handle hardwoods, softwoods, plywood, chipboard, MDF, etc., all without fuss, up to a depth of about an inch. After that it does start to struggle, but that's as much down to the cheap bandsaw and the limited blade length as anything else. It's a worthwhile addition to any workshop. For throwaway money, you can have a very controllable little bandsaw setup to cut and shape sheet materials with absolute ease. It's simple to control, safe to use, practical and precise in use. And the sharply cut, accurate results make the whole thing an absolute must. So I think we can call that a finished video, guys. Whee! I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you did, please like it. Please look out for my other videos on my YouTube channel, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please share, like and comment on this video, and let me know what you're thinking. It's always great to hear from you guys. So that's it for now. Take care, and thanks for watching.